him, our next guest, Ohio Congressman Brad Wenstrup, a member of the House Intelligence Committee. First of all, congratulations on the Halt Fentanyl Act, strong bipartisan support. I did notice, though, there were 133 nays. Do you know why those lawmakers found this bill insufficient?
No, I really don't. It's kind of beyond me why they would have a problem with it. How hard do you have to look at what's going on in America with the deaths that have been taking place across the country? You know, in 22 now, they say that it was 109,000 people, and most of these are between the ages of 18 and 45. This is our next generation. This is our military. These are people that we need going forward in this country. And keep in mind that not all of these overdose deaths are, where someone was intentionally trying to take something illicit they didn't even know. So we have a real problem. We have a problem with the border, obviously, with all these drugs coming across. And that's why, in addition to the HALT Act, I put forward the SOS Act, Stop Our Scourge Act.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I do want to stick with the HALT Act for now, because it would make fentanyl a Schedule 1 drug again. This would be along with heroin, LSD, marijuana, ecstasy, quaaludes or lemons, and peyote. Again, tell us what happens when a drug is considered Schedule 1.
Well, there's much greater restrictions on it, and there's harsher penalties if it's out there. Let me just explain something as a physician too, and this is where maybe some people had some angst wanted to make sure that it was very clear. I can tell you in anesthesia, fentanyl is a very good, safe drug that is used. So many of my patients got fentanyl when they underwent surgery over the years. It's a good drug, illicit fentanyl. So this is the variations of it. And this is the illegal fentanyl that's coming across our border, and maybe from some other areas, but the border is the main place coming from Mexico. And so maybe there was some consternation from people that are worried about the legal use in the hands of qualified physicians. I don't know, but otherwise,
but you're not going after that.
Exactly. And so I can't tell you why people voted against it. Obviously, we had support on the other side. Look, Arthur, maybe there's some people that just because it's a bill that's coming from Republicans, they want to vote against it. But Republicans
you
voted
had 74.
for it.
Let's not go there for a second. You had 74 Democrats who supported it. I don't know who didn't. I'd love to talk to them, because I don't get why they didn't support it either. But just a quick aside, do you, because I was reading that list of Schedule 1 drugs, heroin, LSD, marijuana, ecstasy, quaaludes or lemons, peyote. Do you think marijuana should still be considered a Schedule 1 drug?
I would like to see marijuana actually examined under trials for certain entities. I know at the University of Cincinnati, they were doing a study on epilepsy. There may be some indications for marijuana and in various forms, but I don't like what's going on where it is just being used and say there's medical marijuana. As a doctor, I need to know the indications for a medication. I need to know the contraindications. I need to know the doses. So I think we've gone in the wrong direction on that. But there may very well be good medicinal uses. And sometimes, as it's listed as Schedule 1, it's difficult to do trials on it. But there are ways to do it, because I know in my home of Cincinnati, these types of trials are taking place. So there's a little bit of semantics, but I always want to see that a drug has an absolute medical use. And that's the idea of Schedule 1. They don't have a medical use. Illicit fentanyl does not have a medical use. Legal fentanyl does.
All right. I want to keep moving here, because I've got a couple more points. President Biden supports the HALT bill. Do you think it will ultimately end up on his desk for his signature to make it law? Yes or no?
I think that the amount of bipartisan support that we got in the House, it should get through the Senate, and the president has indicated that he would sign it.
Yes. Okay. I want to go here, because you're also working to get fentanyl imported from foreign countries, looking to get it classified as a weapon of mass destruction. Do you have support on that?
We're working on that. I think that we should be able to garner quite a bit of support. This is a drug that clearly is taking the lives of so many Americans. And for this bill, we use the definition that is used by the Department of Homeland Security that says any weapon that is designed, intended, or has the capability to cause death or serious bodily injury to a significant number of persons through the release, dissemination, or impact of toxic or poisonous chemicals or their precursors. How does fentanyl, illicit fentanyl, not fit that description? It does. How many do you need? 109,000 plus in the last year died from overdoses, most of those fentanyl. We need to take further action. We need to, in this bill, we can follow the precursors coming from China. That's what we intend to do. We want to work with the Mexican military and their counter-drug people, and also assess what we are doing on the federal level as far as trafficking goes.
Really quickly, you mentioned working with Mexico. If fentanyl is ultimately classified as a WMD, how would this help crack down on the cartels?
Part of the bill is to engage with the Mexican government and the Mexican military to try and crack down on the cartels by discovering. I also had met with the Chinese ambassador, and he said he didn't want the China being blamed for fentanyl. Well, they are sending the precursors, which are legal, to the chemists in Mexico that work for the cartels. And I offered to the ambassador that the United States, I think, would be glad to work with them on tracking the precursors that they are sending out, and especially those that are headed towards Mexico, so that we can stop this flow, which is an important first step in trying to solve this problem.
Congressman Dr. Brad Wenstrup, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Arthur.